Welcome back to the channel, everyone. As you can see, we're in my old recording space, which is my parents' house in Queens, New York. I'm not in my old studio today because I'm doing a special video. So if you remember, the first video I ever did was a review for a card game called Psycho Killer. Well, it's been my most popular video with 10,000 views. Escape Tabletop Games reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do a first impressions video of their upcoming Kickstarter, which is the third edition of Psycho Killer and their new expansions. And without hesitation, I said I definitely have to do it. And of course, good old James the cameraman has returned as well. So let's go over what they changed, and then I'm going to go over each little expansion here, and then we'll go into my first impressions. Let's get right to it. I'm not going to go over everything. You can watch my previous video on how to play the game, but I'm going to go over the things that they changed in some brief overview. So we're not going to have 7 cards in our hand anymore. You're going to have these 2 decks here, and you're going to be drawing from any of them. Now, when somebody draws a Psycho Killer card, they have to play it immediately in front of them, and then any weapon cards that they have in their hand are also going to be played in front, and that's going to be your injury score. Now, when the 5th Psycho Killer is drawn, the game is going to end, and whoever has the least injury is going to win the game. Now, a new thing they added is when you have 10 or more injury in front of you, you are left for dead. You're going to flip the card to the side, and then some new things are going to happen. Now, when you're left for dead, you still have to play the Psycho Killer cards in front of you, but if you draw one of these predicament cards, you can give them to an opponent who has to play them immediately. So that didn't happen in the last game. Now, if you ever go under 10, then you would have to flip this card over to show that you are no longer left for dead. Also, as the game progresses, you're going to have cards in your hand that you can play on your turn to prevent detrimental things from happening to you, like hiding under the bed. Getting too old for this shit. Did you fart? We're going to go over the Nightmare Street expansion first. This also adds the 7th player. If you want to play with this expansion, you're going to add all these cards to the base game. Now, the Left 4 Dead is going to be 13 injury instead of 10 for this game. So, what's going to change is you're going to have some new survival, selfish, power, and healing cards. But also, you're going to have these stimulant cards, which you need to have at least one in your hand if you want to stay awake. They are the coffee, alarm clock, and the taser. But holding more of them can actually be pretty detrimental. Now, when you draw a nightmare card, which is the Hat Man. Now, the Hat Man is actually based off events that have happened to people who have had traumatic experiences. While they were going to sleep, they would see this shadow entity wearing a hat at night. Now, just imagine you're trying to go to sleep and you...
I'm into feet.
Now, anyone who is asleep has to go by whatever card is drawn until a new nightmare card is drawn and the previous is discarded. Also, if you have more than one stimulant in your hand, then they're going to count towards your injury pile. So you don't want to have more than one stimulant card in your hand, or else it will be detrimental to you. And of course, whoever has the least injuries when the 5th Psycho Killer is drawn is going to win the game. This is Crime Time. Like before, you're going to add these cards to the base game. So what's going to be different this time around is these survival cards are going to be used to protect you from your opponents, because they're going to be attacking you as you will be doing the same to them. Now, when somebody draws a Crime Time card, the Safe Time card is going to be switched, and any weapon cards that you have in your hand are going to be placed in your opponent's injury pile. And that's where these survival cards come in. Now, if somebody draws another Crime Time card, that's going to be going back to Safe Time. This time there's going to be a more player interaction. You're going to be attacking other players, so you want to be mindful of how many Crime Time cards are left, because then you know how many times those injury cards are going to be coming into play. So that is how you play Crime Time. So this is Bloody Mary 2. The original expansion had Bloody Mary. This is also a drinking game if you want it to be. So the Psycho Killer cards are going to be replaced by the Bloody Mary cards. We're going to have the range drink cards, the plot twists, and the tropes, along with the fun police as the last card. So when someone draws a Bloody Mary card, you're going to take three shots or 3 sips of your drink. When you draw the second one, it's going to be 9, and then so forth. So you're gonna take more sips the more Bloody Mary cards you draw. Now the range drink cards, they are the yellow cards. So when you are attacked, you do not play the cards into your injury pile. Instead, you're gonna play them into someone else's injury pile. And of course, the injury points on the Bloody Mary cards, weapon cards, and the drink cards are still how you're going to be keeping score. But now you're going to be adding these into your injury pile. You must take that many sips as your drink as well. And you must also drink when someone else puts the drink cards directly into your injury pile with a card like Stitches. Now the tropes right over here, when a trope card is drawn, show it to all the players, and then you're going to easily place it into your trope pile. So all players must play by the rule on the current trope card unless they are holding the Fun Police card. And then each new trope replaces the previous trope, as in the last expansion with the Nightmares. Now the Fun Police, they're going to see this VHS symbol right here. It does not get played into the discard pile. It stays in your hand until it is given to another player, and it can also be taken back by another player or put back into the deck. Then you have the plot twist over here. When you draw a plot twist, after drawing it, you're going to read it out loud, and before putting it into your hand, and as long as you're holding that card, you may activate the card's minigame at any moment, and all players must play along. And that's the Bloody Mary expansion. This is the Occult expansion. Now, to add this, you're just going to add these cards to the base game. And the base game is going to be played the same when all the Psycho Killer cards are drawn. The game is going to end, and the person with the least injury is going to win. Now, these are incantation cards. So, if you look at the cards here, they have 2 spells. The top is good, and the bottom is evil. So they're treated like any other power card. However, when you play them, you roll the dice to determine which spell you cast and whether or not you keep the card when the spell is complete. So when you're casting spells, you place the incantation in front of you, and you're going to roll both the dice to see if you're going to cast a good spell or you're going to be dealing with the evil spell. When you play the good spell on the incantation, if the numbers on the dice add up to 7 or higher, the evil spell is 6 or lower. When you play the good spell and you give the incantation to another player, if you roll a double, 4 or 5. And then you're going to play the evil spell and give the incantation to the other players if you roll a double, 2 or 3. Also, you're not going to play either spell and shuffle the incantation into either deck if you roll a double 6. And of course, do not play either spell and discard the incantation if you roll a double 1. So most incantations have the VHF symbols on them, as you can see. And these indicate when you're going to be able to play the spell. And you can use as many different incantations as you would like, but you can't use the same one again. That is the Occult expansion. So now let's get back and go into what I initially think of this expansion. What I didn't go over is that there's also the bootleg boosters. This is just it comes with blank cards that you can make up your own powers and rules if you so desire. But yeah, it was good to see Psycho Killer again. You know, we play Psycho Killer during the Halloween season. It is a fun, silly little game similar to Exploding Kittens. We also enjoy it more than Exploding Kittens. I really like these expansions a lot. If I'm going to rank them, I think it's going to be Nightmare, Crime Time, Occult, and the Bloody Mary. The least, again, I'm not a drinker, so that's why the Bloody Mary one didn't really appeal to me that much. But I do like how Nightmare really changes some things up. I do like those Nightmare cards a lot. It changes the game up drastically, and I think it makes it more fun. The Crime Time, I do like the take that elements to it. It feels like you're playing the Purge in a way. Adds that more player interaction. I mean, there is already player interaction with this game, but it adds more meanness to it, which is what I like a lot. And of course, if you watch my previous videos, you know how much I like Take That games. And of course, you have the Occult, again, which adds these little incantations. Again, you can't go wrong with any of these expansions. And again, if you like games like Exploding Kittens or just funny, silly party games, and of course you like the horror theme, you can't go wrong with Psycho Killer. I do like the new rule that they added that you don't have to start with any cards in your hand. It adds a little bit to the tenseness of the game. Also, you have this smaller box. The original box wasn't too big. It was just a little more clunkier. This is a lot more neater on the shelf. It was also good to see James come back. It's been a really long time. Did you enjoy yourself this time?
I'd have more fun if I got paid.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. James is a dick. I really want to thank Escape Tabletop Games for sending me this game, for sending me the expansions. Please like and subscribe. This little channel is growing by day. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I'm going to leave a link to the Kickstarter in the description. So if you're interested in backing this expansion and the new printing of the game, I'll leave the link in the description section of the video. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope you are all enjoying the spooky season. If you or anyone out there is going to be going trick-or-treating, I hope you all have a safe Halloween. There'll be more videos before Halloween, of course, but I always around this time like to stress the importance of safety and everything around this time of the year. That's going to do it. I hope you guys have a great one. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. As you can see, I'm not in my old studio. Fuck up already.